What's going on, everyone? So, just wanted to go ahead and share a video. I know it's been a little while since my last recap. And this one is to actually tell you about the fact that I had a losing day today. I was not profitable. In fact, I did a little bit of damage on my account. I took myself down 2%. I usually like to make my gains be about 1 to 3% daily. And there were several times and opportunities that I could have had to step away. And instead, I found myself revenge trading. I found myself going against my rules. And I think this is one of the most important parts of trading to cover. I want to be super transparent with y'all. While I do have a winning strategy and a system that wins 80% of the time when I use it properly, and I typically do grow my account 1 to 3% daily, today I made some cardinal sins of trading. And I want to talk about that today because they were totally avoidable. And I think it's important to share that. I think more traders need to be transparent about this. If people are just only flexing their wins and their winning systems, I think they may be leaving some things out. So I'm actually excited to share this with you. Obviously, it wasn't a fun day for the account, but I hope this can be helpful for some of you. So let's go ahead and get into it now. We're going to be looking at the two main traders that I had that were losers today. And the first one was VREO. Now, this one had news in, I think it was after hours yesterday. Um, they had, they had like a financing deal. It kind of sounded similar to that news that happened with JNVR the other day. And it was a super low float as well. We can see that this one was only 660,000, so a micro float here. And so basically what we had was it was doing this whole nice move in after hours, came down, then had this huge move up in the pre-market, came back down, came back up over here. Now I had this demand zone over here, but I actually missed, I forgot to place entries on it because I was playing another stock. This one definitely would have been way more profitable. And so I like this one because we had this clear breakout over here that went above this previous level at like $12. Then it came up to here, went all the way up here, but closed here. So I liked this area for breakouts because it was kind of before this successive move higher. There was even another demand zone over here before this breakout, which also would have worked. Also missed that one. So two good trades in pre-market. And then what I saw after, and the reason I took this, even have my notes here, was that, and I didn't have this line drawn actually. I was looking at this one quickly, and I saw that it made this move up to 1450. But the important thing I like to consider of what is a true breakout is even if we see a wick over here, like this wick needs to be broken, and the candle needs to close above it. So we had this candle close right below it, and then it came crashing back down. So for me, I was looking at this area as a demand zone, and so I drew this, and I was taking trades. I was actually drawing this a little bit lower down here, and I mean this thing just completely knifed through the zone, went a little bit below here. It actually did come back up, but that would have required, buying it at the more bottom levels. However, to me, this is a trade I should have just avoided completely. This was kind of doomed from the start, and it wasn't until I was already had my entries set up that I noticed that this was a terrible trade. So I couldn't get out of it. I also was doing it quickly because I was seeing it come down, and I was like, yes, I'm going to get it in this demand zone, expecting it to pop. It didn't. I didn't even have my stop losses set up for it, so I was doing it mentally, and I pretty much stopped out at like right at the bottom there. So that was a pretty treacherous loss to kind of start that. And then I missed this demand zone too. Like because I mean, there was this trade and then a few other losers that I had that just got me to then be really hesitant about the market instead of taking trades that I should have. And we see this over here. This is like another one I had, but this one technically, isn't my favorite type of setup because we do only have one engulfing candle, but there still was a zone here. It was still a clear breakout over this level at 8:14 in the morning. And it was probably because of that and also just feeling skittish about the market that I avoided taking this trade, which came down into the sevens and produced a move up to 916, which would have been a super sweet move, from the bottom to the top, almost 30%. So yeah, that was really challenging. And then, one of the things I also realized that I will do if I'm not finding other setups using my trading strategy is I'll try to go and play options. And typically I've gotten better at trading options by looking at higher time frame zones. But something I notice about myself is that when I am losing on a trade, if I've lost money already, I'll start looking at shorter time frames and it's still expecting results. So like I was looking at SPY today. I was actually on a call when it had this huge move up after the tariff news was lifted, and there were times where I was like drawing it, and I think I was basically just like creating whatever trend line I could think of. Like, oh, well, I see this line here, so I'm going to do this. And sure enough, this came down here. And when it was down here, I saw it coming back up. And then I tried to short it again, expecting it to keep coming down. However, it was just continuing its move higher. There were several other moves where I was looking for the fast money, and I was rewarded with the fast loss. And I know it looks kind of crazy here. I could probably just delete a bunch of this stuff, or at least hide my drawings. But it was just there were multiple times where I could have been a little bit more patient, or I instead of looking on the 5 minute, 10 minute chart like I do for trading small caps, I should be looking at these bigger time frames. And that's just kind of the constant reminder for me, especially if I've already lost on the day. It can always be worse the more moves that I take. And instead, I should be being more considerate of taking less moves and waiting for the next day, waiting for the setups, and just honoring my trading strategy. So my goal from this point forward for the rest of the week is to not be cheeky with any other strategies until I've proven that they work. The only one that I've proven is my strategy, the one I use with demand zones on small caps, typically finding news, theme, or catalyst based trades. If you want to learn more about that, I would love to chat with you. We can have a strategy session and see if that strategy is something that you would like to implement. And, for me, when I only rely on that, it produces results for me very consistently. So this was a reminder today of, one, I broke my rules, and it's so much easier to break your rules again once you already broke them the first time. So, the writing was on the wall after I had messed up on VERO earlier, and I paid the price for that today. But live to fight another day. I hope that you find this helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. And I would also love to know any of the particular challenges that you're having with your trading. It's definitely a difficult time in the market to, trade. We've got all of these different headlines and news. Things change so much. So let me know what your biggest trading challenges are, where you may need some help, and let's have a discussion here. Hope that you guys find this helpful. Have a great day. Wishing you nothing but peace and profits for the rest of your week ahead.